and then I'll get lighter as I come to the front. Stop the video and then you can do your two sides, and then we'll talk about light. Hey guys, it's Tom. I'm back. We're going to leave off from drawing basics number 1, and we're going to start on how to draw and shade a cube. New viewers, there was part 1 to this, drawing basics number 1, where I show you how to shade, and then you can watch this one. All right, let's get right into the video. All right guys, let's continue here. What I did here is I brought out some wooden shapes, and what we're going to do is we're going to draw one of these or a couple of these and then shade them. I hope you did okay with your shading. So on the next part, I'm going to use a new sheet of paper and we'll choose one of these shapes. I think a good shape to start with would be the cube. The point of this exercise, guys, isn't to draw a perfect cube. The idea is to get multiple surfaces that meet on shared edges. This edge and this edge share this top and this side and this side. And this edge here shares these two. So remember what I said in my other video, if you watch those, naming and labeling things. It does not help in the process of drawing, it only hurts you. So let's move out of our thinking mind and get into our artistic mind, which is no thought, just observation and seeing. Alright, so what I want to do here is lightly, everything's lightly. This is really light, guys. You're not trying to do any perfect. Remember, no perfection is necessary. So I know this edge here is straight up and down. If you want to get technical, it's a vertical line. So I'm just going to draw a straight line like this. Now if you notice I go back and forth like this is called phantom drawing, guys. I like to do this, and maybe you could get to practice it. What I do is I rest the bottom of my hand very lightly on the paper, and I rest the pencil in my hand on this finger, so it's resting and I'm holding it with my thumb. And what I do is I just start to move my whole hand back and forth on the paper, and it's great because I'm resting my hand on the paper. It's guiding it. It's like if I'm trying to do this above the paper, I have all this extra play, if you want to say, in my hand. And what I do is as I get comfortable, I put my pencil point and I'm on my finger here. This takes some practice. You'll develop your own little position that'll help you. And what I do, as soon as I kind of get ready, I kind of push the point just so it touches the paper, and I make a line. This angle, right, if you want to look at it compared to this angle, it doesn't go straight out, you know? It's not going out like this, straight. It's going back this way a little bit, right? So all I do is I transfer that angle down. See what I'm doing here? Now you don't have to do it this way, you can visually do that. So you look at this edge, and you look at that edge, and you look at the angle it takes. And once again, I'm resting. Now I'm putting my hand in a little different position. I can move this back a little bit for now. And I look at the angle, and I kind of see where it's going to go. And I start to see I'm starting to touch, and then I just put it down. Now I look back here at this one. That one obviously is going to be exactly the same as this one in terms of its vertical position, I guess you'd say. It's going to be straight up and down. So if you want to use that as a guide, then I come back here. I'm not worried about how high, where it's going to go, just meeting this back edge, meeting that back edge. And now if you notice, look where, so I'm not covering up what I've done already. I hold the pencil a little further away, and now I'm going to reach out a little, and I'm going to see, okay, it's going to come vertical, and it's going to do that. See that? And this is another thing. You don't ever have to be afraid to either turn your hand the way you need to, or turn your paper the way you need to. So if I want to draw this line, it's a lot easier for me to slightly turn my paper. That way I can still keep my hand in a comfortable position. And I know wherever this line ends, say I'm going to end this here, that's that point there. Then I know this angle, I can see this angle here is the same as this angle down here. So this one and this one are the same. So I'm looking at this angle, this line on the same angle. See, notice how I didn't go to this point. Now I'm just going to put that up there. Alright, so now you have a side, right? One side. Now I'm going to do this side. This angle on this goes, look at my hand, I'm on the table again, on my paper. I start my phantom drawing. It allows me to visually see the line before I draw it, and then I say, okay, I'm feeling pretty good, and I just put my point down. Now if this goes too far, remember, you can always erase it. Like this here, I look back at it, it's already a little bit more than a square. So what I would do is I'd come back here and say, okay, I did that too far. I'm going to make a line here, and then I'm just going to take this out, right? There you go. Now it's a little more of a square. While I'm here, I might as well take these lines out. Remember, these lines, guys, you want these to be as light as possible, because we're going to shade them, and you really don't see an outline on this cube. It's just two different values coming together here. The lightest on the top, and we'll talk about lighting. This is a little darker. It depends on how your light is set up, this side, and this is medium light, so lightest, medium, and darkest. Alright, so I have this line drawn. Now I'm going to look at this, and I'm looking here, and then I come up here, and I know, okay, it's going to be the same. And then what I'll do is I know this one back here is going to be the same. So I'm going to draw that one in too. There it is. So this, and this all follow the same angle back. And we're also going to learn about 1 and 2 point perspective in the future, where these lines here and here eventually, way back, they converge. They form 1 point. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to complete the cube. Lift it up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to apply our shading techniques that we learned, and we're going to apply them to this cube. And I'll show you how we do that to make the cube have edges rather than just these lines. If you're going to come in, if you're lefty, like I said, or righty, and you have to put your hand over your drawing, it's a good idea to start doing this if you want. You can put a piece of paper down like this, and now you can do all the phantom drawing and what that you want. So I personally like to see the whole thing while I'm doing it. So, and my hand's going to be over here, and I'm going to reach out a little with my pencil to do the shading, because it doesn't matter. All my control is back in here. So I'm going to come out here, and I'm going to start my shading like we learned in our last section. The other section, they were a lot smaller. Now you have a larger area to shade. So it's really critical to use your elliptical shading. Don't worry about staying in the lines at this point. You can always erase out of that. So what I'm doing is I'm doing my elliptical shading, very light pressure, and see, I can go back and forth as long as I'm doing my ellipses. See, I'll slow it down and you can see I'm doing these ellipses. I can go back and forth. I can go in the middle, and I don't have to do the top part. I can focus on this area. You want to avoid doing a cross blending. You can do that. I'll show you. You can do it if you get really good, but it's going to darken it, and you run the risk of seeing the lines crisscrossing. So there's one side. Alright, now if I look at this, I'd say, okay, well, if, you know, just to create a little bit, remember, we're not going for realism here, we're trying to just have some fun with this. It's a little boring just with one shade. So maybe what I'll do is I'll go to the back, maybe because that's not getting as much light, and I'll come up and I'll do my technique where I go with another value, it's darker, and then I'll get lighter as I come to the front. And then about, I don't know, 1/3 of the way down, I'll stop. Now see where I went over here? That's not a big deal. That's what this is for. Or you can use the gummy, whatever works better for you. If you're drawing really light, I call these the gummy eraser. That's good. And I just come in and take it out. Alright, so now here we have one edge done, this edge here, and now we want to do this edge. So this edge, to look different from this one, has to have a little bit of a different value. Whether it's lighter or darker, it doesn't matter right now. We're not talking about the way light hits the object right now. We're just talking about separating these shapes to make the cube. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to go with this one is going to be a little darker than this section. I start on that edge and I make a little, I'm using my elliptical motion again, and I start, it's not a line now, I'm filling that in, and I'm starting to shade a little darker than the edge that it's next to. So there you go, there's two. Stop the video and then you can do your two sides. And we'll come back and I'll show you how to do the top. Because now the top, you have a couple different things going on. And we have to decide, alright, how are we going to make that top one look separate from the other two? Alright? Alright, I'm back. There we go, and I'll move this over. So what we want the top to do is be separate from the side. So I'm going to say if we did any dark on the top in these areas, it's going to meet with these two darks. So it's going to blend, and we don't want it to do that. If we're going to do any kind of dark, it would be in the back. So I'm going to turn my paper this way, just because I'm a lefty. And I'm going to try to do it as light as I can in this area. Remember, I'm doing ellipses here. Now, if it doesn't come out light enough, what do you think you can do if it's not light enough, besides try to erase, which you don't want to erase? Alright, so that's kind of close enough. I have it a little dark there, but what would I do? You tell me. What I could do, maybe I'll start from over here. This can be dark now in the back, because it's only sharing an edge with this side here. There's the cube, guys, and that's your basic elements of shading on the cube. So why don't you practice? You don't have to work this big. If you want to work a little smaller, you can do that. You can do really small cubes, that's fine. And when you come back, we'll do some of the other shapes in the next section, and then we'll talk about lighting also. Look at this thing. It just keeps wanting to go away from me here. All right. Guys, excellent job on the cube. In the next video, I'm going to show you how light affects the shape. You're going to see that in the next video, and how we shade and do shadowing. So look for drawing basics number 3. Have a great day. I'll see you again in the studio. Take care now.